Hey guys, so I have just finished another term of uni and we're going to do a little bit of a recap. Now, I did take 6 classes and I'm not going to talk the details about all of them just because I think some of it is just going to be me like hashing out what I've learned in class or what the class was about. And there's so much I want to cover about what happened this semester that I think the best thing to say is I took 6 classes. And yeah, I'm going to go into kind of the more nitty gritties of things that stood out to me, things that I experienced, and things that are probably more interesting to share. So that's kind of how I'm going to go about this recap. So what were the 6 classes that I took? I did 3 that were required by my degree, 2 math courses, and then I had an internship class as well. And the 2 that I'm going to be highlighting on are going to be my literacy class and my internship, just because those are the ones worth, I think, having a discussion over, as all the other classes were very smooth. I will highlight one thing though. One of my classes was an introduction to special education, and shout out to that professor, which I had the pleasure of meeting, because she is just amazing. One of the things I really appreciated was how detailed and personalized she was with the feedback on every assignment, like the minor assignments especially. I know professors who leave feedback on major assignments and then on the minor ones they're just like, good job. And it was just like seeing that a professor was in an online class was actually paying attention to my work, giving me constructive feedback and or commenting um, about what I wrote in the assignments was just something I had not experienced at this point, and something that I'm truly, truly grateful that she took the time to do. Um, so the 2 classes I wanted to really hash out on are my literacy class and internship. Now, my literacy class, I don't even know how to approach this one. My colleagues and I think we can agree that one word we would describe this class was it was an absolute headache. And I will not put the blame on the professor by any means. I don't know who's responsible for the headache part of the class. But my professor for that class, it was also an online class, is someone I truly like aspire to be, because amidst all the things that was happening, they were still a professor leading our class. What happened? This professor had a lot happen in their life. They had surgery at the beginning of the term. Their parents were in the hospital. Someone passed away in their family. On top of all of that, there was a period when it felt like everything calmed down between, like, if there were 2 peaks for hospital calm down and then hospital stuff related things again, there was that period where it felt like things calmed down. Now, where I live, winter lasted a bit long, like a little extra long too this year. Actually, I wasn't even here last year, so I don't know if this is out of the ordinary, because last year was also quite cold before I went to Lithuania. And so, amidst all of that, when it felt like everything calmed down, we got an email that she had to fix her house because the pipes burst. Bless this professor, because she is truly someone that I aspire to be like. I'm not even trying to, like, I'm trying to make it entertaining for you guys. But, like, I wrote in her feedback that the deans see. It's like this feedback for the teacher that they write a report on, and the deans also get to see it. Where I was just like, this teacher, like, I want to be a person where there can be all this stuff, poof, happening behind one of my many plates I have to be handling, and still do that job with a degree of elegance and grit. But also, I want to say I appreciate how open this professor was to tell us what was happening after they realized that it would probably be a continuous situation. truly someone that I admire, like in my professional career. I really hope that whatever is happening in my life, I can still focus on the various jobs that I have to get done. Whether it is being a teacher or, you know, working in whatever other job sector, and, you know, obviously family life and the different roles you have within a family. Because truly something that I like. The whole semester, I'm like, that truly is so inspiring. Now, what was the main headache was the fact that the curriculum changed about 6 weeks into the course, which was really unprecedented, as you can imagine. Like, it wasn't even the start of a week, it was like the middle of a week when we got an email basically saying, oh, yeah, by the way, like, I know I'm supposed to be teaching you this, but I'm also supposed to start preparing you for this. So I'm just gonna scrap the entire syllabus and we're just gonna focus on this because it's a little bit more important in my opinion. And like she got rid of our final exam because it no longer applied. She got rid of one of our assignments. She said we were supposed to do this paper, and then I don't think she even entertained the idea because of what happened very close to the end of the term and close to when that paper was supposed to be assigned. Which is like, I will say the assignments got a little redundant and boring, but it was just actually really nice that it went from this class that was like so work heavy, where I was having to read 3 chapters out of the book, to now I'm just watching like videos and answering questions and done. And then I'm also getting like real life certifications that I can show when I get hired and be like, I'm certified through this agency, company, or I think it was an organization for all these skills. Because as annoying as those assignments were, I actually probably got a lot more out of it that I can use for my career. And so because of that, like, kudos to the professor for the amount of grit and inspiration she was to me, and also a bit of a headache class, and kind of just how being flexible is even a thing within being in a university class when a whole curriculum just ends up being brought in and the old one that you were thought you were panicking over needing to do is just like brushed away. Um so there was that, and now my internship. I cannot my internship can be a whole video in and of itself. I think I said the same thing about my last one. This experience this term was so special to me. It was it was definitely a building block, right? We're kind of slowly building who I am in being a teacher and future educator. And I think the best way I can say for this term was, not only did I know that like teaching fifth graders was something I was interested in since I was in fifth grade, but it like being my second placement and having the mentor teacher that I did truly was like the perfect way for me to see the fruit and the work my prior mentor teacher put in. There were times when I asked my prior mentor teacher if I could do things like, oh, you'll have a sub on the day I normally come in. Can I come in that day to see if I can like teach? And she was just like, no. And I'm so glad she did that. Because her having me do what I did when I was with my first mentor teacher, uh, honestly, I think built me a more solid foundation for than this past term, where my mentor teacher was very open and very willing to have me involved. It was fifth grade, so it is a little different than the middle school environment. And like for me, the most like eye-opening experience for me was when I did get that opportunity to be with the sub and lead the class while my mentor was out of the room for a meeting. and just seeing like, okay, like I'm the one running the class. The sub wasn't even left to plan because I was there, and let's make a class run. And it was just like all the work that mentor teacher put set up for me up to that point, since knowing them and the students, and as well as the work that my prior mentor teacher did with all this specific and detailed feedback for improvement, and seeing that come together to where I was actually able to do that experience was very, very positive for me. There's still a lot I have to learn. I'm still, I think, building that confidence. And I know a big part of it also is like, maybe this is a cultural thing, but I do want to respect that it is still my mentor teacher who is the actual teacher of the students, of our students. So there is that like level of, I'm going to kind of dial myself back and be respectful. But also like this experience being a mentor teacher where they're like, please jump in. Like they are a veteran teacher. So they're at the point where they're like inviting people to come. The more the merrier of teachers. And so you actually do have that experience. As well as just, I think the difference in elementary is you're with the students a lot longer than just 45 minutes. And so you get to build the connections with each and every single student. And so, like, I got to remember all the students' names. I mean, it was also like a third of the students I taught the prior term. And I was also going in twice a week versus the once a week that I was doing, which helps. And so I think all of it was just such a wonderful experience. And yeah. Now, this mentor teacher, I had hesitancies about this, but once again, they were amazing. Uh, for those that are like in my personal life, they know I have a lot of boundaries regarding like interactions with the opposite gender. It's just personal boundaries that I set for myself. And so when I found out that I was like paired up with a male teacher, there was that level of, okay, at what point will I have to verbally explain my boundaries? And then it turned out like my mentor teacher and I actually come from the same, I would say, religious background behind our boundaries. And so it just wasn't even an issue once I like learned that we were of the same background. They didn't even know I was from the same background. I didn't even bother to explain who I was. Um, but it was just like, oh, cool. We're like naturally on the same page without even knowing we were naturally on the same page. And yeah, just super, super amazing. They were someone that I could just ask any question to if I needed to know something. They were the one who was filling me in on, hey, by the way, this student, here's maybe an accommodation I need to know about that student, and just telling me it rather than me playing this guessing game or like being told a student has this accommodation but then never knowing which one. Because sometimes the students, when they are older, may choose and tell their teachers like, yes, I know I have this accommodation, but I don't really think I need it. And like an IEP meeting will be had about, okay, how do we implement it to where we don't break an IEP because it is still a legal document, and also respect the student's wishes and or where they are and maybe not needing it in the same way as what is written. And so that was really helpful. We also had a switch teacher, so it was two classes and they switched. And so we taught math, science, and social studies, and then they had English, grammar, and literature related courses with the other teacher. Our switch teacher was also amazing. I just can't thank the two of them enough. It was such a wonderful environment. And I always say, like, that's the first public school on my list. Probably the only public school on my list at the moment where I'm definitely like, if I had to get a job in the public schools, that's my first option. Just because the entire grade, as well as these two mentor teachers, just showed me like there is that community and that support that exists. And, you know, once again, I think elementary and fifth grade may be an area where I think I may thrive in. Not that I didn't enjoy middle school. I did enjoy middle school. Like, I had an amazing experience. I run into my students out and about, and it's always really fun to run into them or see them. Like I'll be driving home and I'll see them walking on the sidewalk. And I had connections with some of the students, but definitely like 120 students and going once a week, which was my own predicament, and I put myself in this, built a different atmosphere, I will say. And so I am very much looking forward to going back to the middle school this coming term, this coming year actually as a whole, because I'm ready to, once again, third building block to this journey and seeing kind of everything I've learned and building onto it. That said, I have fifth graders. They graduated. They're going to my middle school. So there is a part of me where if I do go get into the same middle school, because I was asked if I wanted to go back, and I said yes, I am kind of slightly hoping I'll get placed with a sixth grade placement. Um, I'm not too picky on where I get placed for math, but I do think for me to be in a history, social studies based placement, sixth grade, the sixth grade curriculum is something that I will be more helpful in because I do kind of have to have a little bit more um, involvement in the classroom, obviously, than the prior two semesters. And so I'm interested to see if they put me in sixth, seventh, or eighth. But also, just I do want that sixth grade placement because I'm going to see my students again. And not only will that help me with learning names because I'll know some of the students, but also just I kind of know how to interact with that group of students already, and where they are at because I know where they came from. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next year. I will say, next year is the year that I will be working very hard, just because I am trying to apply for a couple things. And so I'm doing like a lot of things all at once where I'm a full time teacher ish, full time no, not full time mentor, full time student, full time teaching ish. And on top of that, I'm having to actually start figuring out what I'm going to do in 2027, like fall of 2027, which is crazy, because that's like a whole year and a half away still. And kind of do all the paperwork and examinations and all of the things for that. And then on top of that, I'm trying to find a job and get paid, because I had to pay to do all of this right now. And well, my bank account's not looking too happy. So balancing a job on top of having all the other requirements, I am very excited, but I know I'll be working very hard to get everything done. And I don't know, there's part of an adrenaline rush thinking about it where I'm like, okay, you've been trained to do all of this, and now it's time to implement. So, with that, I'll update you guys on how I survive juggling everything. And don't worry if I do get overwhelmed, there will be things that will change. If having the number of work jobs that I have doesn't work out, I'm sure I'll hopefully have common sense and wise people to tell me to dial it down a little bit. But yeah, I look forward to the next one where I update you guys on the other side of another building block of my life. So with that, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye.